Emergency succession. Princess Leonor sworn in as regent, Spain holds breath. Imagine Spain waking up to what was supposed to be a normal morning. Headlines filled with routine political debates, royal events planned weeks ahead, and a nation moving through another calm day in 2025. But then everything changed. Because just when the country thought it understood the rhythm of its monarchy, one moment shattered every expectation. A sudden declaration from Zarzuela Palace. Princess Leonor, at only 20 years old, had been sworn in as regent of Spain. No warning, no gradual transition, just a nation frozen in shock as the future queen stepped into power sooner than anyone imagined. And here's what almost nobody expected. The real story behind this emergency succession is far more emotional, more complicated, and more urgent than the public was told. To understand what happened, we must begin with the atmosphere inside the palace hours before the announcement. Quiet corridors turned tense, advisors moving quickly behind closed doors, and an unusual silence surrounding King Felipe VI. What began as a private moment within the royal family rapidly escalated into a constitutional turning point. What triggered this sudden shift? Why now? And what does it mean for Leonor, for Spain, and for the monarchy itself? Every answer uncovers a deeper question, drawing us into the tangled reality of a royal family navigating pressure, duty, and destiny all at once. Before the world knew anything, Princess Leonor was in a private meeting with her father. Felipe, always composed, looked uncharacteristically emotional. He explained the situation in a tone no heir ever wants to hear. The country needed immediate stability, and he could no longer carry the full weight of the crown. It wasn't abdication, not yet, but it was an urgent transfer of power. Leonor had trained her whole life for one day, but not this day. Not so soon, and certainly not in a moment thick with tension. Yet the responsibility was hers. And she didn't hesitate. Spain has always admired Leonor for her discipline, her education, her courage, but what happened next would define her in history. Within minutes, she stood before the Regency Council. Her voice didn't tremble, her posture didn't waver, and even as the entire nation held its breath, Leonor accepted the constitutional obligations with a calm that surprised even her critics. But behind that composure was a storm, a swirl of loyalty to her father, fear of the unknown, and the heavy truth that her youth would be tested in ways she never expected. Outside the palace, Spain reacted instantly. News channels scrambled for confirmation. Social media exploded. Supporters celebrated her readiness, her maturity, her symbolism as a modern monarch. Others worried if the pressure was too much, too fast. Was she truly prepared? Did this signal a hidden crisis? Had something happened to King Felipe that the public wasn't being told? The palace maintained silence, releasing only an official line, temporary delegation of responsibilities due to urgent constitutional necessity. Those 3 words only raised more questions. Inside the royal family, the emotional weight was even heavier. Queen Letizia stayed close to her daughter throughout the day. She knew what Leonor was stepping into, the scrutiny, the obligation, the loneliness. As Spain's most photographed woman, Letizia understood how monarchy devours privacy, turning every choice into national debate. Watching Leonor raise her right hand during the swearing-in ceremony, Letizia had to hide her own anxiety behind the elegance expected of a queen consort. Her daughter was stepping into a historical storm, and she could only support from behind the scenes. Infanta Sofia, always Leonor's quiet anchor, stood nearby. The sisters exchanged a subtle glance, one filled with unspoken understanding. They had grown up together through the rigid choreography of royal life, but now their paths diverged in a dramatic way. Leonor became regent. Sofia became her closest confidant, the one person within the palace who understood the full emotional weight of this transformation. But why did this happen now? What was the urgency? The truth, whispered among palace insiders, is that King Felipe has faced escalating pressures, political, diplomatic, and personal. Spain in 2025 is navigating internal divisions, economic strain, and the increasing demand for a monarchy that reflects modern values without losing its heritage. Felipe, loved and deeply respected, has carried the institution through crises for over a decade. Yet the pressure had become relentless. The regency wasn't about weakness, it was about protecting stability. Entrusting Leonor with responsibility before the crown officially passed to her gave Spain a forward-facing image of continuity. And it worked. Within hours of her appointment, Leonor held her first meeting with constitutional advisors. She listened more than she spoke. She asked precise questions. She didn't hide her concerns. She didn't pretend to have all the answers. Her transparency struck many as refreshing, a sign of the kind of monarch she might become. Spain saw in her a blend of youthful modernity and the discipline inherited from her parents. Still, the weight of the role is enormous. The world is watching her every move. International leaders sent messages of support. European royal houses expressed admiration. The Danish monarchy, already closely tied through Leonor's rising public friendship with Crown Prince Christian, privately reached out as well. The message was simple: she wasn't alone. But the public wants to know what this means long-term. Is this the beginning of Philippe's final chapter as reigning monarch? Will Leonor transition to full queenship sooner than expected? Palace sources quietly hint that this regency will shape Spain's future path. If Leonor proves capable, and all early indications suggest she will, the monarchy could enter its next generation earlier than anyone predicted. With power now flowing directly through her, Leonor faces the most complicated challenge of her life. Every decision must balance tradition and progress. Every statement must unite both Old Spain and New Spain. Every public appearance will be dissected from her body language to the tone of her voice. And she knows it. The remarkable thing, she's not intimidated. Those close to her say this moment unlocked a fierce determination. She moved from heir to leader in a single day. As the hours passed, something changed across Spain. The initial panic eased. Streets buzzed with conversation about the young woman who had stepped into history. Older generations compared her to her father, calm, dutiful, steady. Younger Spaniards looked at her and saw something different, a symbol of renewal. Someone their age, speaking their language, understanding their world. But the hardest part of this story isn't what happened in public, it's what happened in the family's private quarters after the ceremony. Felipe placed his hand on Leonor's shoulder. No cameras, no advisors, just a father looking at his daughter with pride and sorrow intertwined. He told her she was ready. That she had earned this through years of preparation. That Spain trusted her. And that this wasn't the end of his role, only a shift in how he served. Leonor didn't answer immediately. She took a deep breath, steady but emotional. She told him she would protect everything he built. That her duty wasn't just to the Constitution, it was to him, to their family, to the unity of Spain. That single promise marked the true beginning of her regency. The palace lights stayed bright late into the night. Advisors met. Plans were drawn. Leonor reviewed documents, practiced briefings, prepared statements. She didn't rest. She didn't retreat. She stepped directly into the role because she knew the world was already judging her capability. And here is where the curiosity deepens. What does this mean for the monarchy's next chapter? Will this regency lead to a full abdication? Will Leonor's leadership redefine Spain's royal identity? Will the public embrace a young, modern regent with fresh perspectives? Or will old tensions resurface as she navigates power? Each question opens another. Each answer reveals a deeper story. Spain stands on the edge of a new era. A young regent now holds the weight of a centuries-old crown. A nation watches her every step. And a royal family braces for the emotional and historical consequences of a transition that arrived unexpectedly. What comes next may transform the monarchy forever. Because today wasn't simply an emergency succession. It was the moment Princess Leonor became the heartbeat of Spain.